Again, Peter, this is, the most important job in the world. Are you surprised that just months after he left office, Joe Biden is diagnosed with a form of prostate cancer that apparently has been with him for a while?
It's very sad to hear. And as far as the diagnosis, we know that we just know what we're told, right? And White House officials assured us through basically July of last year that he was healthy enough to continue serving.
So I'm sure by now you've heard about the diagnosis of prostate cancer for Joe Biden. And I'm sure by now you're thinking something doesn't add up. I sure don't see what's adding up. And here's the big thing for me. I myself was diagnosed with prostate cancer last year. I have a Gleason 6, which is considered non-aggressive, which means I meet with my urologist now every 6 months, and we just do a blood test called a PSA test, and make sure that the cancer has not gotten any worse. And if it doesn't, then you just pretty much do that the rest of your life and you die from something else. Or if it does get worse, then we look at different treatments. But here's the thing. I'm in my 50s. We found this because I just took a simple blood test that, by the way, all men in their 50s should take. So a little public service announcement for you men out there. Make sure you add that to your list of labs when you get them done. But my point is, there is no way that Biden went from completely fine and healthy and all the things his doctor said just a year ago to this point of a Gleason 9 reading and it metastasized to the bone. It just doesn't happen that quickly with prostate cancer. So they're going to have to answer that question. And you can hear that already in Ducey's voice.
Who knows how long they've actually known about it, but cancer is central to Joe Biden's story. He talks so much about his son's cancer and the impact that it had on him. And we know that Joe Biden, as president, did everything that he could to try to keep himself as healthy as possible. He had a trainer that was coming over to the White House twice a week or something like that. In the morning, he had to get special permission to use a Peloton because of the network. They don't like to have extra Wi-Fi networks in the residence of the president. And so it is a very sad diagnosis. And it's worth pointing out, he just formed a personal office. We didn't hear anything from them for the first couple months post-presidency. And the first email that I received from the personal office of Joe Biden and the new spokesman that they've hired was with the news of this diagnosis.
This also reminds me from a few years ago when Biden made a comment that sounded like him saying he had cancer, as if he slipped up and revealed it, even though it wasn't on the teleprompter. Do you remember this?
The White House has retracted a statement made by the US President Joe Biden during a speech that he's made in Massachusetts overnight. The president was discussing the effects of oil refinery emissions when he indicated that he had cancer.
My mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer.
The White House clarified the president had non-melanoma skin cancer before taking office last year. Not sure how that relates to oil.
So all of this is leading me to conclude one thing. Joe Biden and his team probably knew that he had cancer last year and for the last few years if he did have the non-aggressive form early on and then it developed over time. None of this was a brand new revelation as they're acting like it, meaning it was a cover-up. Now, why would they try to do that right now and suddenly reveal his cancer diagnosis? Oh, wait, there's a book coming out tomorrow.
One of the shocking things that we learned at a June fundraiser in Los Angeles, George Clooney was stunned when President Biden appeared to not recognize him. The president was saying, hi, hi, hi. He walked over to George Clooney. The aide says, you know George. And Biden said, yeah, hi, how you doing? And George Clooney attempted small talk. But according to people in that little clutch, it was very apparent that Biden did not recognize George Clooney, one of the most recognizable faces in the world, and somebody he'd known for decades, and somebody that was throwing this fundraiser for him.
All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please This hurts. Nothing to see